And he came to the apartment one day with a whole thing of screenplays he had bought. And he said, it's no mystery, read the screenplays and, you'll see how to write a screenplay. So I did.
In 1969, Leonard Kastle writes his first screenplay, The Honeymoon Killers, based on the real-life murder trials of Martha Beck and Raymond Fernandez, the Lonely Hearts Killers, who were executed in 1951. 1 week into production, director Martin Scorsese is fired from the project. Kastle, who had never made a film before, is enlisted to direct. Honeymoon Killers goes on to be a cult classic, making the New York Times Top 10 Films list for 1970 and Blockbuster's 100 Best Films of all time.
I remember the night in Paris when Honeymoon Killers opened, and I remember them all walking with me, and they said, how do you feel walking down the Champs-Élysées with Paris at your feet? You have no idea about how successful that movie was in France. It was the top gross on Variety for weeks and weeks. Truffaut in France said on record it was his favorite American movie. I ended up getting 2 big agents, and I probably could have made 15 more Honeymoon Killers after that, but I chose not to. Because I made a movie for $150,000 that made millions. But then I wrote other screenplays.
With the success that Honeymoon Killers brought in the early 70s, Kastle drafted Wedding at Cana and Change of Heart, 2 screenplays which had high hopes of being produced. Yet something always seemed to impede the highly acclaimed director's progress. As time passed, their chances of getting made began to fade.
I did meet a lawyer in New York, and he said, look, I'll get a little group together, we'll all put up some money, we'll do it low budget, like we're trying to do now. And he gave the screenplay to Jack Valenti, and Jack Valenti read it and had a fit. And Jack Valenti thought my movie was so horrible it would be an X. And that killed it. I've been screwed up by big people.
Kastle spent the next 29 years moving through many creative projects, writing operas for commission, drafting 6 more screenplays, and teaching the finer points of music, serving as professor at the State University of New York in Albany.
What I was doing at the time in terms of spirituality, as a person, as a creative person, you don't know my operas. My operas were very, very opposite of Honeymoon Killers. And I used to tell this to my students all the time. When I would get these students from Long Island who thought composers were just boring, and I would say, you don't understand something. The great composers, Mozart, Beethoven, Bach, Brahms, Wagner, had incredible brains. If you read what they wrote, not just music, if you read their writings, because they were all very literate men who wrote, that's in their music. And I said, one thing you could always say about me is he never made a bad movie after Honeymoon Killers. So 30 years have snuck by.
In December 2000, Kastle discovers Upstate Independence, an AIVF network of independent filmmakers in upstate New York. He enlists the efforts of producer Mike Camoin to spearhead his comeback.
At this moment, I'm the producer for RooMG03 Films on Leonard Kastle's Wedding At Cana.
With an initial investor already on board, pre-production meetings and casting sessions for Wedding At Cana begin in February 2001.
We have another audition. 39. 39.
My main concern is that in getting publicity, you want to have a vision, just like your movie has a vision. The script has a vision.
As itself is now an interesting subject besides.
Let's make the movie.
I think coming out of the box after we've already built it all is much better.
Controlling it though, that's the thing.
Do you have the breakdown of the script?
Not alone together. No, they're with Nancy and Tom are with O'Malley, and Nancy and Tom are with Finn, but you can do a few lines while they're
What kind of music do you have you like on the weekends? Classic rock.
But they had
Theoretically, there is a hope to get something out of this. By the way, these cabins, do they have still electricity in them outside? Could we light up one of the exterior of that cabin that's close to here?
There's one that they use.
That they do use?
Well,
Yeah.
player. I was figuring about maybe 8 couples.
Oh,
6
that's
couples.
plenty. That's plenty. Yeah, I'd say.
That should be it.
Yeah.
I've got the list.
We need one
We'll
with
compare
just
notes.
Finn and
Matt wants to
Raj.
meet with you before that now. He wants to meet with you like on Monday.
On Monday, if he needs to, I'll come up.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's important.
We don't have the blonde girl cast.
We don't have the blonde girl cast yet.
Not yet.
You better find us soon.
Well, the shot would be here, and the camera would come in.
You want to widen it to take in basically the whole front of the church.
She doesn't have to be a Catholic church. Maybe they go to an Episcopal church.
There's no interior?
No, camera comes in. You're not the lighting.
Castle's casting sense is equally exquisite, wrote Los Angeles Times film critic Kevin Thomas. Actors Shirley Stoller, Tony LoBianco, Doris Roberts, among others, have gone on to lead successful, productive careers.
Can I have numbers 7 and 8 coming with me?
Unafraid of Hollywood conventions, and without fear of tarnishing his image as film history's most celebrated one-shot as director, Kastle will mount his comeback on the shoulders of a small, talented group of unknown actors, turning water into wine once again.
Fine, go see the cardinal. Tell him you held a mass in your house where Jews received the sacred host. I don't mean the cardinal. Christ said, where there are 2 or more gathered in his name.
It's a real possibility. She and David would make an excellent couple.
I love this story, and I love the people. I think that comes through when I work with the people, because they know that. I really love these people, all of them, even Silvio. You know, to me, they're very alive.
A goddamn pansy. That's what I got for a son.
I raised a goddamn fruit who hangs out in queer bars with a fairy priest and everybody knows it, a fucking pervert.
So, yeah, I do want to make it. You're telling me. You wait, you see me shooting this movie, you'll see somebody like a lunatic with enthusiasm. That's the whole scene. They're right. You see how the path, even if it doesn't, it does actually bend. But they're like right behind that tree there. You see where I mean?
Wedding at Cana is a dark and complex parable involving an organized crime family, the Roman Catholic Church, and an idealistic priest involved in an ambiguous yet intimate relationship with another man. The story ends with a murder and a miracle.
But Wedding at Cana, for me at least, it has something to say that's not about crap. Wouldn't Christ, are you filming this? Oh, I don't care. Wouldn't Christ really want to say, it's no longer, I didn't do this for this. Is this what I did this for? Is this why I died on the cross? Is this why God the Father sent me down to make the world right? Maybe that's why the wine should go back to water. And that's what this movie could say. That's a very strong statement. This little movie that we could make for $350,000 or $500,000 or $600,000 could really say that. And that is what it says. And that's a very important thing. So you say, why do I want to make the movie? That's a very important message. That's why Truffaut said it's dynamite. And that is what the message is, that Christ is dead. The church is going to hate this. They really will.